doing a good job here. He's got his hands locked.
An 11-2 major decision for Isaac Roble and the Boilermakers.
What a win for Hayden Filipovic to get the job done. He put Andrews on his back a couple of times.
Grayson Clark scores the final 8 points to take a 9-4 victory.
Beautiful job by Blaze. You saw him kind of drag it back with his head stuck in the middle.
Boilermaker faithful here in Holloway Gym giving Ben Benadia a round of applause as he picks up his 4th Big Ten dual victory.
And he gets the takedown, Brody Bowman.
Welcome to the Always Aggressive Podcast. I'm your host, Tanner Lipsett. With me, as always, our head coach, Tony Ersland. We had a week off last week from the break, Coach, but we're back at it.
Getting ready to head to the sunshine for warmer weather, hopefully, and less snow.
Ish.
I'll take ish right
Ish.
now. For what we're sitting in here in West Lafayette, Indiana currently, I'll take ish.
For those that are not from here, it has been a rough last probably week of weather here in West Lafayette. You know what they say about Indiana. You don't like it, wait an hour.
5 minutes, yeah.
Wait 15, an hour, 5, whatever it is. But yeah, there's quite a bit of snow on the ground, a nice layer of ice in the parking lot. I've almost broke my neck, I don't know probably 3 or 4 times. So
Yeah, a lot of people going down all over campus. Watched a young man on a scooter yesterday take a dive. So, I mean, there is that entertaining aspect of things, but it's cold, and we got a lot of white stuff on the ground.
Indeed. So, the sunshine you speak of headed to Las Vegas for the 43rd annual Cliff Keen Las Vegas Invitational. Before we get to Vegas, let's take a look back. 2 weeks ago, went out to North Carolina to face Davidson, the Wildcats, and had a pretty solid showing top to bottom in the lineup there.
Yeah, no doubt. Obviously, a lopsided, dominant win. We scored a lot of points and even had the opportunity to put some new faces in the lineup there. And I think I'd mentioned this, right after the duel, but it was kind of nice to watch these young kids compete, specifically Vinny Pano, who really came out and got after his opponent, wrestling up a weight class at 141 pounds, right? And then Adrian Palat as well being in there. So no, it was a lot of fun to see the new faces in there go out and compete and kind of get a beat on where they're at and what we wanted to work on.
A lot of points, a lot of good showings. Specifically, Brody Bowman went out, put up a ton of points again. Brooke Weber's last team standings. He leads the team in both takedowns and match points. A guy that we've really, other than one small hiccup, we've really been able to rev his engine this year.
Yeah, it's a guy, he had the hiccup at our duels, right, where he was ahead and in control of a match and let it get away and took an upset late loss, and his response has been really good. I mean, his last 2 matches, the Davidson one included, he's been really after people on fire on his feet, and I think that's where we've got to keep him. We can't let him get comfortable. You know what I mean? We've got to keep him in that kind of mindset where he is now, because he's very dangerous when he's going after people that way.
Another guy to mention, Gavin Brown extended his record to 10-1. That's a team most wins for us. Went out there, scored early and often, and cruised to a nice win.
Yeah, it's kind of accumulated maybe as 10 wins quietly, I guess. But, again, has been improving. I think progress is the word I used. That we're looking for, and I've seen progress with Gavin. He was winning early, but a lot of tight matches, and maybe playing with fire situationally, how he was closing matches out, and I liked his response specifically at Davidson, where he got up, but he kept going and widened the gap late, and then that's what you want from him. You want to keep your guys offensive, especially when they have that kind of firepower, and so again, there's progress with him besides the win.
Absolutely. I lost my train of thought there for a second. Oh, no, I know where I was going. Wanted to give a quick shout out to Nate Carr.
Yeah.
Nate, head coach at Davidson. He went out there, invited us out. We graciously accepted, and he put on a nice little show at Davidson with a variety of promotions and clinics and so on and so forth. Special matches, but I thought it was really great the way he put that whole event together.
It was a great day. It was a good event. I mean, he wears a lot of hats, as you do as a head coach, but I mean, he's in charge and was in charge that day of a lot of things going on. I mean, I know he had recruiting and just special matches and exhibitions, and then obviously the duel with us. So, again, I think it's well worth your mention. Say hats off and congrats to him for him really working hard to kind of, again, build his brand and expose his guys to different things.
I was a huge fan of Davidson and its campus and the surrounding area as well. I mean, what a fantastic little hidden gem.
Beautiful area, right? We got to get out a little bit, in the morning, and yeah, it just was a great place to explore. Nice little, I don't know if you call it a little town, but for me it seemed very small, but we enjoyed the heck out of it.
Had that nice small town feel, college town feel to it, with a lot of different shops and eateries. But then just 25 minutes north of Charlotte, you got the major airport and a city there, and the weather was.
Yeah, you couldn't beat it. 70 degrees, people walking around in
fantastic.
T-shirts and flip-flops. A little different than what we're doing today.
Little different.
Little different.
But thanks again to Coach Carr for having us out there. I thought it was great.
Yep.
And then we went, took I won't say a week off, because obviously the guys were still hard at work, but enjoyed the Thanksgiving holiday last week. What was the training cycle like for the guys over that extended break?
Yeah, finally with an opportunity to train and not worry about making weight, or competing where you have to taper sometimes as you get ready. But we got a chance to get a couple of really good workouts where we able to extend the guys, just kind of even, not just physically but emotionally, like just put in the kind of work necessary to be ready for a good event like Vegas. So it was nice just to not have to worry about, the last month you've been, hey, you get a day or two here and there to work, but then you're kind of already on your taper on the way down to make weight and compete. And so, again, I just appreciated the opportunity to work on some things we've been seeing and then really extend the guys physically in a couple of those workouts.
Absolutely. As we've kind of alluded to, and I think we're going to spend most of our time here on the show regarding this, headed to Cliff Keen Las Vegas Invitational this week. Actually, we leave in the next hour here to head down to Indianapolis, hop on a flight, get out to the desert. But just an always really tough tournament where a lot of guys make their bones and build their resumes for nationals, and just an opportunity to stand out against some of the best teams in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you can't ignore the opportunity that it is. I mean, we clearly wrestle a great schedule being in the Big Ten anyway, but to see some of these other teams that we won't see again, and to when it comes time into the national championships to have a win over those guys is a big deal. It's going to matter in seeding and things like that. So it's something that I've always valued, and we've never missed Cliff Keen in the 12 years I've been here. So yeah, it's what I call a ranking tournament just because of the opportunity it presents to our guys.
And you talk about the NCAA seeding and stuff like that. I know you just had some meetings recently with some of the Big Ten other coaches, and it's a real point of emphasis to try and figure out what those metrics are and what those things are that we need to do to get our guys to the big show in March.
Yeah, and that's coaches spend a lot of time figuring out from a scheduling standpoint too, how do you best qualify your guys from nationals, and we've talked about it before, but there's a coach's ranking, there's RPI, there's win percentage and number of matches that all go into these things. And so people go about it in different ways, but I just think the best way is if you own that head-to-head win over a guy, that's a big deal. That should be the first criteria as we're discussing, who's in and who's out or where they should be placed in the bracket. So, again, you can't ignore the opportunity with all the teams that are going to be in attendance.
Absolutely. A lot of top-tier teams. I know we were kind of going through the list yesterday. Oklahoma State should have a presence there. Virginia Tech could have a presence there. Cornell, Michigan.
Yep. Iowa State going to be there?
Iowa State,
I believe Iowa State's going to be there,
Iowa
right?
State was on the
their
list.
win here with
over
the
Iowa, yeah.
Duel,
First time since?
I think first time in 20 years, I believe, that they pulled out a win over the Hawkeyes. So I think
crazy duel.
Yep, crazy duel, and they're riding high. So again, some very good teams to your point that'll be in attendance.
So should be a lot of fun. We're taking the bulk of our starters. I think we may be 10 for 10 on this one. We may not have anybody sitting this one out. A couple guys to highlight. Obviously, Joey Blaze should be the number one seed at 165 pounds. Has just been a dominant force, so far this season, and excited to see what he does in that tournament atmosphere.
Yeah, again, a tough 2 day. It's spread over 2 days and probably 5 matches at least, right? the consistency matters over the course of those 2 days. But Joey is always consistent and ready to go every time.
A couple other guys that should receive, pre-seeds I think come out either tonight or tomorrow. Stony Buell should see a nice seed, 157 pounds. Brody Bowman at 74. Ben Venadia at 97. Blake Borman at 133 pounds. Grayson Clark at 141 pounds. Should be nice to see a lot of our guys in contention for a spot on that podium.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And one guy that you kind of mentioned who's been under the radar, I guess in my mind, is Ben Venadia. Again, had a great duel and put up a lot of points at Davidson. But again, he's kind of like Gavin. He's stacking up wins and I think has a good grasp of his game plan and how he wants to execute. So excited for a guy like that as well.
Yeah, Ben's definitely been progressing with his hand fight and his top game as well. I think he's showed an increased kind of like importance on, once he gets on top to wear on his guy a little bit there and keep him down as opposed to just, take down and let him go, which you've seen from him in the past.
Yeah, I think he has a good sense of his game plan. Like I said, he understands from all positions what he needs to do so he can proactively wrestle, according to what the situation calls for. You don't ever want to have a guy get into a situation and then you're on your heels kind of, defensively guessing what the other guy is going to do. You always want to be working towards your game plan, and I feel like that's where Ben's been going with his wrestling recently.
Another guy, never want to forget, Hayden Filipovich.
Yeah.
He should have a pre-seed. He should, be in the mix there to get on the podium at heavyweight as well.
Yeah, and right. And speaking of game plans, a guy who gives you everything he has every time out, no doubt.
Without question.
Love him as a competitor and everything. He was a guy that I think notably over this break from Davidson till Cliff Keen has done a lot of work on what his hand fight specifically needs to be to help him score more points. And so again, that's where these 2 weeks were valuable for us because I think of a guy like Hayden who really got to work on his game plan a lot coming out of the Davidson duel.
That's awesome. Two guys I wanna mention and bring up just because I think Vegas is we talk about guys making their bones and creating some of their resume. Two guys with a huge opportunity to do that. Ashton Jackson at 125 pounds and Gavin Brown again at 149. Just a lot of ranked guys going to show up at those weight classes, both 25 and 49, and just a lot of opportunity to run into some people that could give them a boost towards March.
Yeah, I think the word you used there was just opportunity, right? That's how you need them to look at it, like tremendous opportunities. Lots of good people, but boy, you just got to think, hey, this is an opportunity that I have, and go out, be loose, and get after people in your best way. There's no pressure or expectation any other way than just to go execute your game plan.
As a head coach, I think this is an interesting point for casual fans and I guess even the hardcore ones alike. How is your approach and how is the team approach to there's 32 teams out there. They're going to be sizable brackets, about the same size as NCAA's. Some people call it a mini NCAA. Yep. How does your approach as a coach in preparing the guys to go out there and wrestle, between 3 and 7 matches over a 2-day period against really good competition?
I think having a good and I alluded to this, and I know I repeat myself a lot here, but having a good sense of your game plan is key. I mean, consistency over those 5 to 7 matches really matters because you're going to see a lot of different styles, from a lot of different competitors, and you've got to be able to understand this is how I need to execute in each situation. And that goes back to understanding who you are and how you need to execute. So understanding your game plan, being in great shape, which is why I like to leave that weekend open before, so we can get a little bit more training in, because you want to make a push. Because tournament wrestling is a little different than dual. The deeper you get into that tournament, the more shape's going to matter, and you got to be able to hold up. I mean, that's, again, you're seeing maybe 12 to 15 ranked kids in every bracket. You're going to be tested every round, and you have to hold up, and that's where your physical conditioning comes in. And then I think the other part is staying relaxed in between. Again, 2 days, 48 hours. You can't just be revved up for all day. You got to be able to kind of bring yourself down and relax and enjoy kind of, the moment, and then get yourself back up for another match, right? Like understanding tournament wrestling and how, in terms of how to kind of relax and then bring yourself up when you need to focus the most is key. And that's, again, what I like. These guys are going to be forced to do that. So it won't be like we're asking them to do it out of the blue once we get to Big Tens or NCAAs.
Exactly. Another thing to factor in, you talked a lot about shape and you talked a lot about that conditioning, but there's also that day 2 aspect of making weight for a second time within 24 hours and having those guys still be able to show up and make a push.
Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't necessarily like the way it worked out at the time, but when we had our duel with Cal Poly and Bakersfield changed last minute, and we had to go back-to-back days. Actually, at this point,
I almost forgot about that.
Right, it might be helpful here. I wasn't. You don't want to start your season off making weight back-to-back days, but we did because it just became a necessity of the way things worked out, and so. Again, they've done this before, and they should understand now how you manage your weight while you're competing so that you can still bring it down and make weight on day 2 and not have a fall off in performance.
Absolutely. And then always you're fighting the Vegas atmosphere of stay awake 24 hours and flashing lights and, loud noises and everything else that comes into play in that part of the world.
I think, it's true, right? There's a lot of distractions. You can't deny it. I would not deny that.
So many distractions.
There's a lot of distractions. However, I think our group does a great job. They understand what they're capable of. They really do. I think there's an excitement, about this team. They know they're capable. And so I have no doubt that they will do a good job of keeping their mind on their business. And then, like I said, when we walk out of the competition arena, they can relax and enjoy what the atmosphere is, but I have no doubt once we get back down for the next session, they'll be ready to go. It's about managing your emotions and understanding yourself because it's a long 2 days and you just can't stay up for 48 hours straight. That just doesn't work.
And I think one other thing that kind of plays to our favor a little bit is we have a fairly veteran group going out there. I think maybe Blake Borman might be the only one going to Vegas for the first time. Just seen as the fact, Chattanooga hasn't been out there.
Right.
And so, but I think the rest of the lineup, these guys they've all made this trip before. They've all competed in Las Vegas for Cliff Keen and should have a good idea of what it is and what we're going to do.
No, I think that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that as much, but you're right. It's a pretty veteran group who probably all have competed out there in Vegas in one form or another. I know Ashton, at 125 wasn't initially in that group last year with Matt holding down the weight, but he's certainly been out there for U20s and other events, and so he's had to travel and understands what the environment's going to be.
Absolutely. I guess, looking back, any personal highlights from the Thanksgiving holiday?
Just the fact that I had a couple of days to relax with my family was wonderful. We, as you know, had 4 weeks of competition, and 3 of them were on the road.
On the road,
so
yeah.
That was busy. And so, again, family time is at a premium, and so it was nice we didn't travel. We had a nice little family Thanksgiving with my wife and the boys. And so I just enjoyed that immensely. Probably caught up on a little bit of sleep, too. I think I took a nap on a couch one day, which rarely happens.
Yeah, that seems like that's out-of-season stuff.
That's out-of-season stuff, right? So when you can get that over Thanksgiving break, I'll take that every time.
That's awesome. Definitely had some time to unplug myself and did not do any traveling either. Looking back at November, we're officially in December as of yesterday. Mm-hmm. Or was it the day before? Sorry.
We're in December, though. I know that.
We are in December. We're definitely in December. That first month of the season, like you said, we're on the road a lot. We compete a lot. It was 4 straight weeks. Looking back at it now, for the main gist of things, did it give you what you wanted to as we get into the meat of the season?
Yeah, I do. I liked how things shook out. I mean, obviously, we're sitting here at 6-0, and so we've done a lot of winning, which was great for this group. But they got challenged in different ways, right? Different teams have different guys who excel at different weights, so there was different and unique challenges. And so I think it prepared us where we had some good success, but we also had some challenges where there's some guys that are battle tested, right? But from Cal Poly Mizzou or whatever. I mean, we've just seen a lot of different things, a lot of different looks from a lot of different competitors, where I feel good about going into this weekend as far as what they're capable of. I feel like I have a good handle on where this group is at least.
Great news. That'll be about it for this week's show. Oh, one more thing. Picked up a couple of commits. Obviously, nobody we can talk about yet, but 2 in 1 day, as a matter of fact. Was it the day before Thanksgiving that did we have a little early celebration, or was it the day after?
It was after Thanksgiving.
Day after.
It was after because we were back practicing when we got those calls. I think it was late in the day. We got 2 of them same day.
Yep.
And so again, a lot of hard work and a lot of hours put in over the last several months by this staff, and to collect 2 more young men who I think are going to be great for our team culture and add to our group is a big deal. You mentioned we can't talk about them yet. We've got to get some things done, but excited to welcome 2 more guys to the fold.
This time I'm sure that'll be it for this week's Always Aggressive podcast. Appreciate you guys tuning in. For myself and the head coach, we appreciate you guys. Thank you, and boiler up.